The war on drugs cannot be won by fighting symptoms. We must attack the root. Targeting drug production at the source, particularly in Mexico, is essential. This requires a multi-pronged approach. It demands cooperation. And it needs unwavering commitment. For decades, Mexico has been a primary source of illicit drugs entering the United States. The problem is not new, but it is evolving. Cartels are growing more sophisticated. They are diversifying their operations. And they are expanding their reach globally. To effectively combat this, we must understand the dynamics of drug production. We must identify the key players, and we must target their infrastructure and logistics. This means disrupting their supply chains, dismantling their labs, and eradicating their crops. This is not just about reducing the availability of drugs, it's about saving lives. It's about breaking the power of criminal organizations, and it's about creating a safer, more secure world. Two names loom large in the Mexican drug trade: Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, or CJN, and the Sinaloa Cartel. These powerful organizations control vast networks of production and distribution. They operate with brutal efficiency. They are ruthless in eliminating rivals, and they have infiltrated governments and law enforcement agencies. CJN, known for its extreme violence, has become the dominant force. Led by Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, alias El Mencho, CJN has expanded its operations globally. They are involved in everything from cocaine and methamphetamine trafficking to illegal mining and human smuggling. The Sinaloa Cartel, once headed by Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, remains a significant player. While less globally expansive than CJN, they maintain a strong presence in the cocaine and methamphetamine trade. These cartels operate with impunity in many regions of Mexico. They undermine the rule of law. They destabilize communities and they fuel violence and corruption. Confronting them requires a sustained and coordinated effort. The landscape of the drug trade is changing. Synthetic drugs such as fentanyl and methamphetamine are flooding the market. These drugs are cheap to produce, they are highly potent, and they are incredibly deadly. Cartels have been quick to capitalize on the synthetic drug boom. They are importing precursor chemicals primarily from China and setting up clandestine labs. The production process is relatively simple. This makes it difficult to detect and disrupt. The rise of synthetic drugs presents a significant challenge to law enforcement. Traditional methods of interdiction are less effective. We need new strategies. We need enhanced intelligence sharing. And we need to raise public awareness about the dangers of these substances. The human cost of the synthetic drug epidemic is staggering. Overdose deaths are skyrocketing. Communities are being ravaged, and a generation is at risk. We must act decisively to stem the tide of this deadly scourge. Winning the war on drugs requires a multifaceted approach. It demands international cooperation. It necessitates disrupting cartel operations, and it relies on strengthening local law enforcement. International cooperation is paramount. Cartels do not respect borders. They operate across continents. We need to work together to share intelligence. We need to coordinate law enforcement efforts. And we need to target the financial networks that sustain these criminal enterprises. Disrupting the flow of precursor chemicals is crucial. Most of these chemicals originate in China and India. We need to work with these countries to tighten export controls. We need to enhance interdiction efforts at our borders. And we need to crack down on the illicit labs that are producing these deadly drugs. Empowering local law enforcement is essential. We need to provide them with the training. We need to give them the resources. And we need to support them in their fight against these powerful criminal organizations. Finally, we must never underestimate the power of education. We need to raise public awareness about the dangers of drug use. We need to provide treatment and support for those struggling with addiction, and we need to create a culture that rejects drug abuse. The war on drugs is a complex and challenging fight, but it is a fight we cannot afford to lose. The stakes are simply too high.